皆さん、こんにちは。私の見せ物へようこそ。私はジェルマ様。PapaLlama, this is your point.
Oh, sorry.
Uh,
Konnichiwa, Lama-san. Actually,
uh,
Lama-senpai.
no. I can't believe this is my idea. Anyway, Easter is upon us.
Oni-san.
This episode should be coming out on Good Friday. Good Friday? What am I talking about? No, it's April Fool's Day. Wow, I can't get my dates straight. Anyway, how's it going in Lamaville?
Jerma-san, so funny. Good Friday was 2 weeks ago.
Two weeks ago? This is coming out on. Oh, man.
Oh, 1 week ago. Sorry. My dates are all mixed up. We're filming this a week later because
Wow.
children.
Hop to the kettle, am I right? Anyway.
I know. This is what I get for trying to do a VTuber episode with you. I can't get anything right.
Well,
I'm totally unsure of this. People are going to actually have to watch this with the screen up.
oh.
You know.
Yeah, they are. That's.
I know. They're not going to be able to put us to the side. We wouldn't want them to do that anyways. They could miss out on all the really fun cringe. All the really fun cringe.
Man, this is going to either be the funniest thing ever, or it's going to get both of us just exiled for cringe. And I'm hoping it's the former.
Yeah. Well, first, let me say I want to apologize to all of the VTube fans I have mocked in the past. Look at what I have become. Woe is me. This is the future of Llama Senpai, obviously.
Well,
So,
give yourself
how
some
I got
credit.
talked into this, I don't know. But if any of y'all want to give me a theme song or a better avatar, maybe we'll use it in the future. Deal?
I mean,
Deal.
alright, let's be fair to ourselves here. You're not a VTuber fan at the very least, you're just a VTuber. I think it's like 1% better.
It's 1% better. Kids, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
I'm that dad that sets a terrible example. That's exactly what I am right now. I'm like, I'm doing the thing I'm not supposed to do. Like I'm rude to my wife or something, and then I'm like getting onto the kids for not saying thank you or eating all their vegetables or something.
I mean, there's something to be understood there that if you expect your father to always do right, you're going to be a bit disappointed. But also, if your father is telling you to eat his vegetables as he's scraping them off the plate to the dog, it's like, I don't know. Hard to take that seriously, you know?
It's true. Or telling you to respect your mother while being rude to your mother. So
Yeah.
that's always, you don't want to set that example too.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of,
But yeah,
I heard you picked up some stuff from an estate sale recently.
yes. As the I'm like the llama version of Scrooge McDuck and not spending money. So I got a xylophone at an estate sale. Yeah, it was like sold in the '90s for like $750, and just an estate sale popped up. It was sometimes they have some that are really quick, and it was actually an online auction for $60. I got like a xylophone with a case and a drum, little practice pad and everything. So I'm very hopeful that little llama likes it. So far, he has shown quite the penchant for musical talents, which is something I never did, but my wife did. So I'm hoping he really enjoys that.
Yeah, music is one of those things that is really good for kids to get into. And like all the science says, oh, kids who do music do better. But there's a learning curve where the kid is incredibly, what's the word? I suppose my best thought would be unbearable when they're just hitting stuff on the drum with no care in the world. Eventually there's a point they'll cross and then they'll start producing music that doesn't make you want to banish them to the garage.
That's very accurate. But I've kind of embraced it. You find out, like as a parent, you just have to embrace some things Like,
Hmm.
little Llama wants to listen to the same, decide he likes a song. So, like, for the last 2 weeks, I've probably listened to Footloose about four
Ah,
dozen times repetitively. Um, so he'll find the kids will decide they like a song, or they'll find this kind of mimetic thing. For all the kids out there, memes actually come. The word meme comes from mimetic, which means repetitive in nature. Just in case anybody wasn't aware and just thought it was a word that was made up by the internet, it wasn't. But kids are very mimetic. They'll find a beat or a pattern or a thing they want to do, and it's almost impressive how long they can do that one thing consistently.
I mean, yeah, it's the sort of thing where you'd find some adults paying to be able to hold an interest for that long, like a kid. So,
Yeah, for real. The
hmm,
kids have no worry outside of the thing that's like right in front of them.
yeah.
And they're so amazed by it. So, it's definitely something.
It's one of the things that kind of really worries me about, like, have you seen what they call them, iPad kids, where they just, the thing you hand the kid is the iPad, and then they just start doing everything with the iPad, and it's just, I,
The answer is I've seen those kids. I don't want to talk too poorly of any other parents right now, because I've
mhm,
learned. I've got one kid who's 2 years old, and I have a second one, right, who's 6 months old, and who knows how that's going to work out. So I'm
mhm,
just going to keep praying to God and asking Saint Joseph for help. But for the most part, I do agree with you as far as I don't want my kids to like engage in that kind of thing, because I have seen those, and the results that I have seen have not been good. And I have a close friend whose child is like that, and really it's because the parents let him be like that, and the results have been pretty catastrophic for him. He's fairly nonverbal. He had to move from one school to another because of behavior, stuff like that. Um, and so it's tough. Like, you see that you don't want your kid to do that, but you're right, and it breeds a whole litany of problems, in my opinion. And
mhm.
you've, I'm sure you agree with me in this. So, but I also don't want to like judge too many people, because being a parent is hard. It
Yeah.
is difficult, and especially the single parents out there. I have no clue how. I have no clue how a single parent would pull off what my wife and I pull off, because it takes a lot out of us. And every day when the kids are asleep at 8 p.m., we are exhausted.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing. I have a friend whose mother was a single mother, and it's just, luckily she had both of her parents around to assist, but it's the sort of thing where it's just, I've seen what she had to do, and it's just horrifying how much is expected and how little time they have. And especially in like the situation of a single mother. I mean, parents, they have less time than ever because that's how the economy, well, yeah, that's how the economy is going. And being a single mother or a single father, you're you have the same amount of time as everyone else, but half the income, and it's just
Yeah.
horrifying. It's
Yeah, and honestly, it's a reason why, like, I've met a few people who have multi-generational households, and
mhm,
while I have my family nearby, none of them live right on top of me, but everybody's within 30 minutes. And that's very,
mhm,
very helpful, but it makes so much sense to me why people choose, if they're planning on having kids, why they choose to stay near their parents or near their
yeah,
family, because it's small little things like today, it or yeah, they like, so the daycare is closed and we're taking, where so I'm luckily able to get off work, but my wife isn't. So I'm able to
mhm,
take the kids out to like my parents' place, which for those of you who don't know, I am doing. This is funny. I am a VTuber doing a podcast outside. There is sunshine in front of me. It's not touching me, so I wouldn't want to go too far, because I feel that as a VTuber now, if I touch the sunshine, I might, melt like the Wicked Witch of the West in Wizard of
yeah,
Oz.
yeah,
But I can come back to the original story. I can come here and I can hang out. I can get assistance from my mother, from my father, from my sister, brother who are in town. I can get assistance that way. So for people who don't have that, it can be really challenging.
yeah. There's something. Part of my family is from California, and something that they have there is they have, once the parents are old enough and the children have grown up, typically like the oldest child or another child, they would have another property, so another house built on the property, and the parents would move into the smaller sub house while
Yeah,
the
I would
the
love that.
children, yeah, and it's like kind of it's kind of a bit similar to like traditional Japanese estate planning. However, for obvious reasons, that doesn't work in much of the world because like we can't all have massive walled houses with bamboo construction and paper walls, you know?
Yes, yes. I
Try
would,
that
dude, but
in.
I would love that. I think I originally started that last story about multi-generational households.
Mm,
Those things are so important, and I
yeah.
feel like we've lost them. It's just not that common anymore. But
Hmm.
I definitely, the people who I know who have those, I envy them a bit. Yeah, there's probably like some pros to not having my parents live in my house while I'm an adult, but also there would be some real pros to having a little bit of assistance.
Yeah, it's one of the things where there's trade-offs, there's benefits, but that's how everything goes, you know?
Yeah, literally.
Um, what was it? It's really interesting how architecture really dictates family styles in this sort of sense, right? Because like think of the average American home. You can't really have a multi-generational home there because there's just not a lot of space for that to be designed. It's like there's the parents' bedrooms and then there's the bedrooms for each one of the children, and then maybe a guest bedroom if you're particularly lucky. But like that's not normal. That's not what most homes look like.
Yeah, I think it can be done, but you have to have been very successful or bit like financially, or you have to be
Yeah.
willing to move somewhere like where I live, like out in the country. It would be really easy for me to build a second smaller home on my land that I live on. Like it would be like I've like got room for a few more houses out there. But, in the American suburb, that would be very difficult because you've got like a quarter of an acre or less, or maybe if you're lucky, a half acre. I think my father here has a full acre, and this is if
Ooh.
you do very, very well for yourself. You can live in a suburb and have an acre, but for the most part, you're not able to build a second structure. The best you could probably do is expand the house you're in.
Hmm. It's one of the things where the I have a neighbor who was trying to build a shed in their backyard, and uh, because of the way their house was set up, the plot, there was another house that was close enough that they couldn't build the shed without having to get like 8 different permits and special permission from the neighbor. And it was just like, it wasn't even that big of a shed. It's like enough to store tools and that's it. But to
Oh,
build a
yeah.
house, oh boy.
Yeah, that depends. Like the suburbs are really bad about
Mm,
that. We joke about like the suburb my church is in, which is the suburb my father lives in. About it's a city technically, but it's like it started as a suburb. You have to have a permit to like put up a birdhouse.
for a birdhouse?
I'm joking. That's hyperbolic,
Okay.
but that's trying to get the point across that like you're gonna do anything, you might as well. You might even need a permit. It's kind of like England, Hey, you got a permit for that grill?
Oh man, that's ouch. Yeah, it reminds me of I saw a meme about, oh, if you want to annoy your HOA, just build a bat roost. Because if you do that, they can't move it because bats are like federally protected or something. And it's just like at that point, if you're that angry to build an incredibly loud bat roost on your property, I feel I feel things have already gone very poorly, you know?
Yes, yes, very much. I will say that I'm not totally anti HOA, but that has more to do with the rental crisis than anything else. But yeah, if you're at that point, just go somewhere else. Meanwhile, you could move out to Llama Land where you could build literally anything, and you like the act of getting a permit because I'm looking at putting a shed on my land. The act of getting a permit is like calling them and being like, "Here's $50. I put permit. I put shed on land. It's about yay large, and they go, okay, sure, here you go.
Uh, yeah, I was reading a story about this woman who's building a village after she got outcast from high society, and she just sent a permit into the local governing office to have a bridge built for agricultural purposes, but it's like a 4-lane bridge, which is obscene for the time period. And somehow the local permit office was like, okay, we're not going to come check. We're not going to look at this bridge and go, why is it 4 lanes? We're just going to say, okay. And it was like,
So did she build the bridge? Did it
oh,
actually
she
get
built the
built?
bridge. And then she started doing like almost continental levels of trade over it. But oh, it's nobody noticed because uh, plot. That's how it goes.
That's when you know you're fed up with things, when you build a 4-lane bridge in the woods so you can trade. You can be like, all right, I'm tired
Yeah.
of this. I'm building a 4-lane bridge. I got the cash for this.
Speaking of thing putting together and being built, I also heard that you recently got a new arcade cabinet.
Ah, yes. The Scrooge McLama strikes again. Yeah, I have a good story because there's like a barcade in the nearby city, and when I was college aged, I only went to college for like a year before I was like, hey, I can do IT without having to be in college. But I was college age. I would go fix the arcade machines there. So I got pretty good at fixing arcade machines and old video game equipment, Nintendos and Segas and all that jazz. And a buddy of mine, they had a cabinet that was completely an arcade cabinet that was completely finished that some big company had a build and they never followed up. And I mean, the buttons are already wired and everything. There's a speaker in there and a flat screen LCD. And he was like, "Hey, we got this whole arcade cabinet. It's just missing the stuff on the inside. You want it?" I was like, "Yes, I will take that." So I am
Wow.
super excited. I'm gonna put that together and put that in my upstairs room that's been developing slowly, and I'll have an arcade. Have to go find an arcade board or something. I'll have an actual arcade. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, I never quite got arcades. I was always more of a pinball guy. But it's like, what would you need
Pinball is
to?
good.
Yeah, pinball is fun. Pinball, it's like you get a what's the word? You get to play with physics. It's nice. It's analog. Arcades. I've tried to do the arcade machines. I did not get them. I was like, what am I doing here? These controls suck. What's going on? And then I
Well, that's just because the ones that are like in a arcade place have been well used. That was
uh,
always the thing, was like recalibrating the joysticks and repairing the buttons and the clickers and stuff.
I suppose that's a very fair point. Yeah. It's
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of what it is. Pinball machines are actually fairly easy because there's only that, even though it looks like there's moving parts, there's a lot less electricity that pumps through it.
hmm.
Electricity and heat are like the number one wear and tear on electronics. So everybody, don't put your laptop on your bed. It's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's I actually built my own pinball machine once, and it was pretty fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, it broke somewhat quickly because it was just wasn't the best built thing ever, but for when it worked, it was really fun. Um,
That's awesome.
and it's simple. Like you can make it basically entirely analog, and then have like maybe an Arduino microcontroller running one or two flappers. But otherwise,
Yeah.
you can just put it together simply.
Yeah, that's pretty similar. Like the Arduino controller is actually, it's like a fairly similar concept to what you can do if you hook up like a Raspberry Pi or some other system,
Yeah.
like say you could hook up any number of computer devices, or a what do you call it, or if you have a non-standard arcade board, you could use anything like that to as an attachment,
Yeah,
especially the bud.
I used to be quite into that sort of maker stuff, and there, there was this really odd thing that I never quite got, but it was wearables. Like you would sew a microcontroller into your clothing, and you could like run lights or run like a little action or a sensor or a gizmo, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And as the fashion czar of CDD, I like this stuff. I never quite caught why I would put a microcontroller in a shirt. Like, if
I would only ever do anything like that if I was gonna wear like a Christmas shirt with some lights that blinked to the song that was playing. That would be it.
yeah, I mean, like, that's the best justification I could see, like, walking into the club or walking into a party and just seeing a guy with, like, full on RGB lights. I'm like, okay, weird,
I am the
kinda
music.
cool. Yeah, it syncs with the music, but like,
I mean, I could do it. I mean, I am Hatsune Miku, so
that's
I could
true, that's true.
totally.
You're out here being Hatsune Miku, and I'm out here being at least somewhat related to my profile picture. It is,
I don't even. I love how neither of us really like. You know what I look like, but I have no clue what you look like. So this is going
yeah.
to be as much a surprise to me as the viewers. I think I like how we're just totally ignoring the fact that we're dressed up like little, but that we're dressed up like VTubers.
Yeah.
Now, if I could be all right. So if I could pick like any character, I would totally. Who would I go with? I had an idea, but I don't know. I don't know if I was gonna say Johan for Monster, but that's probably a bad pick. It's not fun, cute, but creepy. I think I would probably go with Katomi Ichinose from Clannad. That she's cute. She's the
Oh,
best waifu, and all your other waifus are trash. All right, just saying.
oh man, what a take. Honestly,
Try it.
I would just go as a model based off of my profile picture. But if I had to pick someone from anime, I'd probably say Lloyd Forger. I mean, from Spy Family. I mean, he's respectable, he's dignified, he's a good VTuber. But then at some point, he stops looking like a VTuber and just starts looking like a guy. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Oh wait, you're Saber, aren't you? Are you Saber?
I'm not Saber. I
That
looked.
would have been the pick, man, because everybody thinks your PFP looks like Saber.
I looked for Saber, could not find her. It's
Really?
awful. Yeah,
That's kind of shocking, actually. Saber is such a popular character online. I would have
I
figured you would have
know.
found that pretty easily.
I mean, like, I think I could have. There could have been like a Saber model I could have got if I shelled out like $60. But I'm not a shelling out $60
Don't
for
pay
a
any
joke
money for
guy.
this. I'm not paying any money for this.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
man, I am looking forward. I think if just so everybody knows, if you guys don't ever see us again, it's because Jeremy saw this episode and he decided to hit us with a nuclear warhead.
I mean,
He decided to end the show with this.
you say that as if Jeremy's gonna watch the episode and then let us release it, and then ban us.
Uh, That's true. Hey, at least
Ha-
we'll have recordings. We could
Well,
we
if
could release it on the
yeah, releasing
dark D web.
bootleg episodes of Wapplewood. Oh man.
Bootleg episodes of Wapplewood. Welcome to Wapplewood with Jerma-san and Lama-senpai.
Oh man.
The next evolution would be wouldn't we have to play a video game, and then eventually we would have to make some kind of a music video. I think that's what the VTubers do, and then eventually we would have to like collab with other VTubers. Don't they have like a Catholic dog girl that exists? We could totally meet up with her, right? I think
I
I think
don't.
that's how that works.
Oh man, that would be horrifying. Like next episode of Wapplewood, we have on famous VTuber. Totally blanking right now.
I don't even
Gura,
know what
the
the name is.
shark one.
Oh, that's not the shark girl, is it? Oh no.
I don't know. I mean,
I think that is the shark girl. She's
I
got like
think
pointy teeth and she's
yeah,
kind
I
of
think that's
evil.
her. Well, unfortunately, we're coming toward the end of our time. But for the
No,
torture of our fan base, think about what VTubers would be the worst thing to ever see suddenly join CDD.
Yes. Oh, and this episode, by the time this episode releases, I will be back on
Yeah.
CDD. So go easy on me. This is
These are
gonna
these.
be this is my return episode.
Mhm.
I don't even know what to say. Oh no.
Yeah, he's gonna be back from 90 days. He's gonna see all sorts of weird stuff. He's gonna go, wow, what happened here? Where's
I
man? I can't actually don't
as
think
long,
I can say it
I've heard that we had the return of the Lifter King. So I'm excited to say hello to him once again.
Yeah, there's a bunch of old names back. It's weird, and then they're like, oh, and it, I remember Aaron, and then a bunch of the newer DVDs. They're like, who's Aaron? And it's like, ah, wow.
Really.
Yeah. Anyway,
Am I gonna return to find VSC has returned?
oh no, sorry.
that would have been the shocker. That would have been
That
the
would have
biggest
been a
plot twist
shocker.
in almost
I think
TV
you would have
history.
noticed though, like at least Snail maybe would have mentioned it once or twice.
Yeah, snails might have. Yep. I've got
Hmm.
we gotta get our kids together for a play date at some point here in the future
Yeah.
because it's warm now. So
Well, I've got to get going to mass. Um, PapaLlama, I wish you a happy Easter, and everyone else a good night.
yeah, I wish you a happy Easter. Also, Onisan.
Goodbye.